I did not believe for a second that my life is supposed to be that miserable. But I think we crown doctors as these ultimate deities, and that gives them the power to be like, I know everything, but you don't know everything, and it's okay to not know everything. And then your patients suffer a lot for a long time. They fed the woman pears every day at 4 p.m. for a week or so, and then they closed her down in a room with no windows or anything, and then they let her tell them what time she craves pears. Your gut microbiome can change in as little as 3 days.
Welcome to Who Would Have Thought, the podcast where we explore the real story behind the outer success. We go beyond the highlight reel into what really helped and what didn't help the amazing entrepreneurs, therapists, and simply wonderful humans from different walks of life get to where they are. My name is Sasha Lukashchenko. I'm the founder of the somatic therapy practice and the somatic psychotherapist myself, as well as your host today. My guest is someone I met in Lisbon at the Female Founders panel, and I've been inspired by her ever since. Her name is Rocsi Chereches. Rocsi Chereches is the menstrual cycle nutritionist and the founder of Her Aligned Hub, a platform challenging outdated narratives in women's health through science-led education. Her work sits at the intersection of the gut microbiome, hormonal health, and body literacy. She works with women navigating PCOS, endometriosis, painful periods, and conditions the medical system has often told them to simply manage and live with. What drew me to Rocsi isn't just the work, it's the fight it took to get there. She spent nearly a decade being dismissed by doctors, told to get back on the pill or get a baby. She didn't. She built the knowledge herself, earned her diagnosis, reversed her own autoimmune thyroid condition, and turned the entire journey into a platform that helps hundreds of women heal menstrual conditions through supporting gut health. This one is for every woman who was told her pain was normal and knew somewhere that it wasn't. Welcome, Rocsi. It's so great to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you, Sasha. It's great to be here.
To start, you spent nearly a decade being dismissed by doctors, told to go back on a pill and get pregnant. That's not just a medical experience. That's, in my opinion, a sustained assault on your own intuition.
Oh, yes. That's well put.
At which point did you stop doubting yourself and start doubting them instead?
I think it was around when I went on the pill when I was 15, and the doctor said this is what's going to help my very painful periods. But then I went on the pill, and after 5 years, I started developing anxiety and panic attacks because that's a known thing that women can develop on the pill. And then I got off the pill thinking, okay, this cured me because this was supposed to help. And then everything came back like 10 times worse. And no matter how many doctors I've been to help me find a different way to look at the problem, it was always the same solution. Get on the pill or wait until you have a baby so you can manage that really terrible, painful periods. And we haven't even gotten to an autoimmune disease diagnosis yet. So for me, something didn't feel right. And I respected myself at that point enough to be like, I'm going to spend some time and investigate by myself why this is happening. And I'm glad I did, because the pill definitely was not a solution.
This is amazing. What you said especially resonated with me, that you trusted yourself enough and you respected yourself enough by this point. What led you to this moment of actually recognizing that you have this inner power and you need to trust yourself? How did you develop this relationship with your body and your inner respect?
I think by then he was already, so it's more like 15 years of this struggle. The last 5 have been breakthroughs throughout, through and through when it comes to my health. Before that, it was like a decade long of struggle. So I think when I decided to trust myself and go for it, I got to that point where I either give up or I keep going. Which way do you want to take? And for me, it was like giving up is not an option. I've let myself be in the hands of doctors for a decade since I was 15. Like, this is just not working. So there must be something else. And I have to find out what that is. I was curious, I was motivated, and I felt it in my body that this is not how women are meant to live. I did not believe for like a second that my life is supposed to be that miserable. So I knew giving up was not an option. So I went for the other road. Yeah.
Amazing. I really love it how through this difficult challenge, you realize that the medical authority is no longer supportive to you, and you need to develop this inner relationship with your own authority and really stepping back from the system, right? And taking the wider view of what is actually happening in your body so that you can take a sustained, aligned action to what works for you first.
I agree. It did take a while for me to be able to get there, but I recognized and I've learned, we really heal and we really move on when we forgive like mistakes from the past. And for me, I've forgiven the medical system for letting me down for so long, because I realize that it is a doctor's responsibility to learn, but no one is putting that pressure on them and no one is structuring it that way. And not everyone is I'm gonna go and do this by myself kind of person. Some people just want to be told like what to do, what to learn, etc. And I feel a lot of doctors are like that. They just need to be stimulated, and the system is just broken in that way. They're not being stimulated to learn and continuously educate themselves. In Portugal, for example, I have a friend who's a doctor here. She told me that once you pass your medical board exam, you never have to retake it. You're a doctor forever. Like, no one's challenging you ever. And medicine is ever evolving, especially in this day and age. And no one is really questioning, is someone from 60 years ago still capable to practice today when we know so much more? Have they kept up? Have they learned? Have they, I always say that I trust a doctor that if I go there and I tell them this is the 20 things that I have as an issue, they say, let me Google it, instead of saying, it's okay. Like, I can feel like you don't know what you're talking about. Your patients are not stupid. Like, we feel it. I rather and respect you so much more if you say, stop. Let me just, let me write it down. Let me Google it and let me tell you what I can find, because I just don't have time to. And fair enough, you don't have time to Google and learn and study everything because you're a busy person. But know where your gaps are. Don't just, try to say that, oh, I'm gonna help you, but you have no idea because you don't have the training, And I feel like that's where for me it became, I don't like, that's where medicine is. Like, you are not God. You're human, you make mistakes, you are not perfect. It's okay to acknowledge that. But I think we crown doctors as these ultimate deities, and that gives them the power to be like, I know everything, but you don't know everything, and it's okay to not know everything. And then your patients suffer a lot for a long time.
Yeah, because our bodies are so magical, and there's just so many things happening, right? And so many signals that our body can show us that something is a little bit off, that is just almost impossible to categorize everything in a way that would be stored in a textbook and would never change for 60 years.
Exactly.
And it's always evolving with our environment, with the ways we live as a society, with how systems change, and like even different climates, right, have like a massive effect on nutrition, and that I'm really excited to dive into with you. And yeah, it's just impossible to even fathom in my head the idea that the doctor would just stop learning and would not keep expanding their own worldview.
But I would say that's the rule. There's exceptions, of course. There's wonderful doctors that I've personally got to know, and they've saved my life and they've saved me from, keep suffering unnecessarily. But at the same time, most of them are just like pretend that they know everything when they haven't been keeping up with what's the latest thing in medicine today, or in hormonal health, or in nutrition, or in gut health, or menstrual health, or everything. Like, we get so many research papers published every single month. It takes time to read them, and the system's broken because there's no time. There's very little time, but I think at the same time, it's also okay to say, I don't know. Let me research that for you. And then I can tell you how to take care of yourself better. We'll do it together. We'll team up, Something along those lines, I think, would make people feel much more respected and cared for and understood, rather than just dismissed and made believe that everything's in their heads.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to menstrual health.
100%.
Yeah.
I love this so much. I'm really curious about on this really difficult journey of confronting the system and really being there, just one small girl against kind of this Goliath of all the doctors that just tell you to go on the pill or get pregnant. Like, what was the support system that you had that allowed you to move forward and figure out that I can still trust myself and I have somebody who is behind my back?
I think mostly I was that person for myself for a very long time. Yeah, it was me who was very curious and wanted to understand what I can do and just wanted to keep going. And then recently, in the last few years, I would say, I had a surgery to take out the 16-centimeter ovarian cyst. It was like a C-section surgery, like right here, like a cut under the belly, really big, really painful. Kind of like when you have a kid, but no kid, just a cyst coming out. Since then, that was 4 years ago, it's been my partner as well, who's been with me through everything. But most of my journey, I'm just been me, like just pushing and thinking I deserve better. And I think every woman should advocate for herself and not let people tell them that it's normal to have painful periods, it's normal to wake up bloated, it's normal to not have a period. Those things are just not normal, and it's not part of being a woman. Having painful periods is not part of being a woman. Having no periods is not part of being a woman. These things are signals from your body that you need to learn how to listen to, like we were chatting about earlier. Signals are really powerful. Intuition is really powerful. And for me, I had those deeply ingrained in myself. I was a lucky one to be able to say this is not how it should be and listen to that. But I was my own biggest advocate, and I'm really proud of that. And then recently, my partner's been really there for me, like to back me up.
It's amazing. It was actually the moment during the founders panel where we met, organized by the Creators Club in Lisbon, and I believe that right now expands into Porto. So really great job, girl. Where the interviewer asked you, who's been the most inspiring woman for you? And you said, me. And that was the big moment for everybody in the room, full of mostly women. I could hear a pin drop. Because it's not oftentimes that we can hear from a woman that, like, I was inspired by me. I did a really great job. I thank me.
I would like Snoop Dogg says, I would like to thank myself. That he was my inspiration when I said that.
It was amazing. And I love that about you. I was like, I need to get you on the podcast. It was this moment I want to really connect with you and understand where you came from and learn more about your journey, because this is so powerful when we get the power back from the hands of all these institutions and the authority that we're supposed to trust and supposed to take care of us. But when we realize that their limits are not allowing them to fully take care of you, then it's you who needs to step up and take care of yourself.
Yeah, very true.
This is lovely. In your work right now, how do you work with women to normalize what they're going through? Like what you were saying, that it's not normal for women to have the painful periods, to experience this all the different menstrual conditions, yes, all the symptoms monthly throughout their lives. It's not normal. It's not part of being a woman. How do you have this conversation with them? Like, do they already come to you with this idea of this is not normal and we need to solve it? Or is there some process that you see has to happen before the woman realizes that there is a different life possible?
This is a really good question because I've been working with over, I think, getting close to 250 women on my last count for the last 2 years. And every single time I signed a client, it was not because I convinced them to do it. It's because they felt like they can't live like that. So I think because embarking on a menstrual journey, it comprises a lot of elements. So you have to be ready for it. You have to understand that you can't take with one hand and put with the other. Like if your period is missing, you can't train for a marathon, eat very little, go out drinking every weekend, not take care of your mind and body, and expect to get your period back. Like that's not how it's gonna work. So it is a short-term sacrificing journey. And I'm very honest with people about this. I'm not someone to say, I'm gonna take your money and then I'm gonna send you in 3 months or 6 months with the same problems that you came to me with. You have to be in the right mindset. And I've refused working with women based on that because they just wanted to throw money at the problem. And I said, that's not it. It's not going to work. I explain what is that I'm a very big advocate of explaining the education behind why things happen. I think you need to understand why your period's missing, why your period's painful, why do you wake up fatigued, why do you lose your hair, why is your skin all messed up, why do you have back knee, why all of these things you need to understand, like why is it happening. And then when you understand, you don't have to immediately act on it, but you can let it sink in. The amount of conversations I've had with women who after 3, 6 months, 1 year came to me and said, I'm ready to start now. It's incredible because you have to be ready. But my job and my duty is to let you know what you can do to get to where you want to be with your menstrual health and gut health. But I cannot force you to start. You have to be ready on your own. You have to be committed. So I feel like it's an introspective exercise and everyone has to go through it. It's kind of like a growth moment. And the beautiful thing is that your body wants to have you to have a period. It wants you to ovulate. It wants you to have glowy skin. It wants you to have good digestion. It wants you to experience all these great things and to feel amazing every day. But you might need to, you want to be here and you're here, and there's like this stretch in between where you want to be that you need to figure out what's happening here. And you need to be prepared for this stretch because once you're on the other side and everything is good again, you can go on and live your life beautifully and normally. But there might be some things that you have to adjust in this period of healing. And I think this is a really huge problem online these days because everyone is promising you can be better in 2 weeks and take this protocol in a week and then you're going to be amazing. Like these all big promises and trends and supplements. We just completely lost the plot on the foundations. Like we forgot the foundations and we're just keeping straight ahead to like the quickest solution. But there's no such thing when it comes to your period. Even like your whole freaking period takes a month to arrive. You can't rush that. Like you can't just buy something and be like, this is going to help in 2 weeks. Not how it works. So that's my biggest value education that I bring to women and bring into their mindset, and then they run with it. Like you might not think of it actively, but it will stay in the back of your mind. If I've done my job properly, it will stay in the back of your mind. And when you're ready, you'll be like, I know what I need to do. I trust this person. I'm gonna go with that person. Let's see how it goes. But I'm ready to commit now, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful process, but it takes a while and it's very hard and it really depends on the person and the problems that they're going through.
Amazing. That really reminds me of the therapeutic process as well, when the client can only literally start this hard work of therapy when they hit their rock bottom first, when they realize that they really need help, they really need support. Otherwise, it's just too hard, right? And people get demotivated and easily come out of this process. So what I usually call these rock bottoms, the sacred rock bottoms, because they're really necessary for this journey. And we want to create conditions so that less people like have to hit them, right? And create all discussions, but sometimes they're not necessary. Sometimes the faster you hit the rock bottom, the actually better it is for your system, because you will understand, you have your kind of awakening moment and you're like, okay, no,
That's a good way to put it, the awakening moment, like where you come into your body and be like, okay, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But I like the comparison with therapy. I think it's true because imagine you say, I'm depressed, I'm crying every day, I'm not feeling well, I can't do work, I'm always low. help me, but then you don't want to talk during your therapy sessions. Like, it's exactly the same thing. Like, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, and you have to be willing to commit. And I think this is a big part of the job, making the person feel safe to do that. And then when it's their time and they feel ready, they will come back to the person that made them feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then when they're coming, you give them exactly the pill for the medicine, right? We're not speaking about the pills. We're speaking about different type of pills, right? But you give them the medicine for exactly where they are now, so that they're able to take it and be like, understand, okay, this is doable for me. This is what I need. And then the next level unlocks the next level of treatment and commitment and
Yeah.
dedication.
Taking everything slowly. It really depends. So I have clients that I work with that are one-off clients. There are clients that I work with that are committed for 3 months because that's what they need. And there's clients that I've worked with, and the majority of them sit between 6 to 12 months. Because, as I said, we're working with a menstrual cycle. You can't rush it. Like, you have to be patient, and you have to give your body time to adjust to what we're working together. So if we're working together for 3 months, you'd come to me, and then we do a session every 2 to 3 weeks. There's no point to do something sooner than that, because realistically your body can't adjust to changes so fast. So it really depends, and every case is so different. I have worked with 250 women on one-to-one. None of them have ever been the same. It's always really challenging and rewarding, but never the same.
That's awesome. So it's also like a deep internal work that you're promoting, right? And the internal growth, not only the change of habits, but also what facilitates this change on a daily basis. You're like the woman who takes care of her own body, who takes the power back, who decides that right now her life will be different, and this is how she's going to make it work for herself.
Yes, there is a growth mindset and also nervous system regulation practices that play a lot into your body relaxing enough to get your period back, for example. So those components are extremely important to the work.
Yeah. This is so interesting. I would really love to double down onto how you actually work and what type of practices you are including in your conversations with women. I know that your approach centers on the gut-menstrual axis.
Yes.
The idea is that microbial balance in the gut shapes period pain, PMS, PCOS, and they're still not very intuitive to some people, right? But also you mentioned the stress, right, and regulation of the environment around yourself. So how do you describe your approach in your own words?
As you said, I focus on the gut menstrual cycle connection, so the gut period axis. The reason why I'm taking that approach is because it was part of my own healing journey, like my pain levels, my thyroid autoimmune condition, my periods came back, my skin got better, and my hair started to grow again only after I changed my nutrition. Well, like everything that I've done is, and I've achieved in my health, I link it back to a proper diet. And by a proper diet, 30 plants a week, fiber, protein, carbs, micronutrients, healthy fats, because these are the building block of a healthy cycle. For example, when we're talking about irregular periods and painful periods, we look at the nutrient availability in the body, because we need zinc to develop the follicles, we need iron to build the uterine lining, we need selenium to stimulate the ovaries to produce the follicles, we need a lot of other micro and macronutrients to this whole process of kicking off the hormonal cycle, which is all the menstrual cycle hormones, the uterine building cycle, which is like your uterine lining gets thicker as you get closer to your period, and then it sheds. And also just promoting the ovarian cycle, which is follicles grow and develop into a main follicle, which ruptures in an event that we call ovulation. All of this is fed by nutrients. So imagine your gut health is in shambles, like you're always bloated, you're always in pain, you are not going to the bathroom every day, you are just not feeling well, low energy, you don't sleep well. Like, all of these things are really important signs of gut health. Like, you bloat after meals, you can no longer eat the things that you used to. All of these things tell me that your gut is not healthy. And if your gut is not healthy, the absorption of nutrients happens in the small intestine where the gut microbiome lives. The gut microbiome is this colony of trillions of bacteria and microorganisms that live in our gut, and they help us absorb nutrients, break down fiber because our body can't break down fiber. They help our immune regulation, they help energy levels, and they help the menstrual cycle process. So all of this are key things that the gut does to support our menstrual cycle. So if you take that component away, of course your period is going to be painful. Of course it's going to go missing. Of course you're not going to feel your best. Barring that you don't have something like endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS, like even if you have those things, the gut can help tremendously. There's lots of research on it. But even if you don't have those things and your period is like really terrible, unbearable when it comes to cramps and unbearable when it comes to flow and just comes out of nowhere. You never know when it's coming. You never know when it's going. Those things are really tightly linked to your gut health. So there's a lot of research that has been published to say that the relationship between your menstrual cycle and your gut health is bidirectional. What does that mean? If you have a bad gut, you have a worse period. If you have a bad period, you have a bad gut. So it's like one another are extremely tightly linked. And this is very new research for the past few years. And nobody, like, I know this is such a cliche to say these days, nobody's talking about this and everyone's talking about that. But generally, nobody's freaking talking about this. Nobody thinks like, oh, instead of going to a supplement, let me just add another portion of oily fish in my diet. Instead of going for cycle syncing and like just taking things out every week and putting things in every week from my diet, let me just add another few plants throughout the month. Like, let me just do like the small, basic, boring things, to actually help my body with the basic fundamentals, as opposed to just keep doing rando, shit. Can I say shit? Yes, random shit.
Say whatever you want.
Yes. That is just temporary. It's not sustainable. I do not know a person that's done cycle syncing or has tried a supplement or has tried anything that can tell me I've been doing this my whole life. There's always like something new. There's always something that's changing. What stays as a fundamental is your nutrition. And that is like the basis of a healthy cycle. So that's my approach when it comes to how I work with my clients one-to-one. We look at plant diversity, identify gaps in the diet, and then I try to understand where we can optimize them with the corrections that are needed for them to get to where they need to be with their menstrual health.
This is fascinating. And I really love how deep into research you are, and you understand the latest and the most freshest discoveries that haven't yet been picked up by the majority of doctors. And as you said, indeed, nobody talks about it. And I'm always also fascinated by how we're rediscovering right now what our ancestors already knew thousands of years ago. Like, literally. Basic, as you said, boring things.
Basic boring. Like nobody wants to do basic boring anymore. Everyone wants the sexiest new thing,
Yeah. Lots of compounds, a really detailed training plan, whatever, Yeah. But how can we get back to the boring and be very foundational about how we live, what we put in our mouths, right? How we move through this world.
I always say this to future clients and clients. If you're in your life is like a multitude of multi-parts journeys. If you're in this journey, in this section, where you're really trying to get your period, follow a simple basic principle. If your grandma doesn't know about it, don't eat it. Like, it's as basic as that. Like, that cannot make it simpler than that.
There is another rule of thumb that I like. If there is an ad about this, don't eat it.
I love it. Can I steal it? I love it. You
Please.
can take my grandma one and I'll take
Please,
that
okay,
one.
for sure, it's not good.
If there's an ad about it, don't have it. Yeah. And take some credit next time.
It's not good. And what's the hardest thing to teach your clients in that sense?
The hardest thing to teach my client?
Yeah.
It's a really good question. I don't know if I'm just lucky, but after so many clients, I don't think I can just call it luck. that I don't feel like it's hard to work with my clients in any aspect. I feel like they just get it because they come to me. I do a lot of profiling, as in, are you the right person to work with me? You're not just choosing me, I'm also choosing you. And if you're not, I don't want to waste my time and yours and your money on something that's not going to work. So I really try to understand if you're the right person. And I think that's what it makes it very easy for me to work with my clients because they follow my advice and they are curious about it. And I encourage them to question it. But ultimately they understand like there's some things that are like better. Actually, I would say one thing. I did work with one girl at some point, and I have a question in one of the forms that I do, depending on the kind of work that clients do with me. What's your favorite snacks? Just so I know. Yeah, you know that. You've done the form. And she's like, wine. I'm like, oh boy, it's gonna be hard. But I think that's it. Like we love a drink, of course, but if you have very heavy periods and very painful periods, if you drink while you're in this healing part, and don't get me wrong, you can drink after. It's perfectly fine. It's social, it's normal. It's if you like it, do it. Just don't overdo it, I would say. But if a glass of wine, it's your kick, or a margarita, it's your thing, then go for it. But I would say like try to for like 2-3 months or so to not do it. So that's like a very hard thing to do because in your gut you have this portion called the estrobolome, which is the part tasked of the gut to remove excess estrogen, which makes period very painful and very heavy. And if you drink, that part works less optimal. So even if you drink like one glass of wine, so I'm sorry, that is going to be a much harder job for your gut to do. And that's one thing I would say that I'm finding like a little bit of back and forth with a lot of clients because all of these clients are in their late 20s, early 30s, the mid 30s. They just want to go out, they want to have fun, they want to be with their partners, their loved one. And it's nice to go and have a drink, especially when it's summer. And I get it. But it's also really important to understand that like you're a fully formed adult, you need to understand the implications if you choose to keep doing it. And then this might not be the best thing for you right now if this is the life that you want to do. Like, no shade if that's what you want to do it. But also at the same time, if you want to drink every weekend, working with me is not going to be something that is going to get, you're going to get much out of, you know? I make sure that's very well established in the beginning. And then if you want to have a glass of wine or two, like every week, every other week, that's okay. But like, going drinking and partying every weekend is not going to work well with this lifestyle that you're trying to get at. So I think sometimes it's a bit difficult in the beginning. Many clients get it like after a couple of months, after 3 months or so. I'd never had issues where, oh, this is just not working because you're just not willing to change those habits, and you have to if you want this for yourself, a better period. But I recognize that there's also other people who are having clients and have a harder time with that. So I don't know if I've just been really lucky or I'm very intentional with the people that I choose to work with.
This is amazing. I love how you're also explaining this from the scientific perspective. Like, yeah, there's this part of the gut which responds to this way to satisfy our like brainiac parts, right? And be like, okay, this is establishing credibility. I trust you because there is the research backing this up. And I also really love how connected you are to the sensations in your body and the signals that your own body gives you about what's right for you and what isn't. And based on this, you're also making your own decisions and adjusting things, even if the science hasn't yet caught up.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious about, first of all, your journey, and I will definitely like double click on this. But also, when you're working with clients, how do you guide them through this process of reconnecting with their own bodies and testing different things to see how they work? You also mentioned that maybe like a couple of months later, they realize that, okay, this drink actually doesn't make anything good for me, So what does this process like to hold the clients in this container where they can reconnect with their bodies and understand what works and what doesn't work for them?
I think for me, it starts with the gut because not once, twice, or 10 times have I started working with someone and they were like, oh, I don't have any gut symptoms. But then once we started tweaking the diet and once we started implementing a few things, they're like, oh, so this is how I'm supposed to be feeling, you know? Because you don't, if you have never felt good, you don't know what that feels like. So you don't know what you're missing out on. You know what I mean? Yeah. So many times, like to me, this is fascinating because you're always thinking, I feel great. You hear people saying, I'm doing everything, but then you really don't know what you're not doing. And that's where someone like me can come into the picture and objectively look at this is not working because you're in this pickle with your menstrual cycle because you're missing this. And then they try that thing. Let's say they're having 10 plants in a week and then we go to 15, like very gradually. So fiber can bloat you. So if you go gradually, it's better for your body to get used to it. It's another reason why it takes a long time to work, because if you think menstrual cycle takes a long time to recover, the gut is like 2 or 3 times longer than that. For what? Think it can take a long time. But it's fascinating to see them, I kind of get light back in their eyes, you know, like, this is how I'm supposed to be feeling. Like, I'm waking up and I'm not tired. Like, is this real life? You know, like, is this how it's supposed to be feeling? And it's just like really lovely to see that, because once they get a taste of what good feels like, I can see the passion and like the grit, like then determination to keep getting better and better. So it's just the moment of getting to that breakthrough initially that can take, it depends, like 1 month, 2 months, depends what their state is when they first meet with me and what issues they're struggling with. But let's say in a typical case of PCOS, for example, where most PCOS cases, or I should say PMOS, because the name has been changed, are insulin resistant, and that has a very tight connection with your gut health. So it can mess about your gut microbiome and the other way around. And so when you are giving this person their first taste of what a proper diet and nutrition looks like for PCOS, for PMOS, it's really great to see, like in a month or so, because that can happen quite quickly, like they are starting to feel what good should be like. And instead of just going through the motions every day and thinking that they're doing everything right. So I think it really depends in each case how long it takes to get to that breakthrough moment. But once they do, like, you see this grit and determination to just keep getting better and better. And that's the rewarding part for me. Like, I made you realize what was not working for you. And now that you know what good feels like, you know which path you're going. And the thing is, when you're getting the taste of what your body should be feeling like, you diminish the taste for all the other bad things. I never have to tell my clients, don't do this, don't do that, don't eat it, don't eat this, don't eat that, because when they start meal prepping some recipes that I give them and they get their body used to that, a slice of toast with Nutella in the morning tastes like crap all of a sudden. You know, like all of a sudden they want sardines on sourdough and feta cheese with eggs and spinach, you know, and your body just craves that, because there was a study published in a medical journal called Nature, which is like the biggest deal in my world, where they made an experiment with a woman. They fed the woman pears every day at 4 p.m. for like a week or so. And then they closed her down in a room with no windows or anything. And then they let her tell them what time she craves pears. So she had no notion of time. She had no windows. She couldn't see the day, then nothing. And then she was asking them on the dot at like 4 p.m. every day for pears. Wow. It's incredible, right? Because that tells you like your gut microbiome can change so quickly. So if you do these things, like let's say that she hated pears before, now her body likes it. And she probably no longer likes something else that she was having before. Your gut microbiome can change in as little as 3 days. So that it's an impactful enough change. It's not a permanent change, but it's an impactful enough change to make you crave the right things that are nourishing and they're supporting your systems, that support your menstrual cycle. So it just takes as little as 3 days. So it doesn't have to be incredibly difficult, but then you get used to the good stuff and you get the feeling on how your body's supposed to be feeling like, and then you never want to go back. Like it happened to me when I quit alcohol, 3-4 years ago, around the time of my surgery. I would wake up hangover like every other weekend or so, and I'll be like, oh, I'm not doing this next. But I didn't know how good it would feel to actually have the time in the weekends. So when I gave up alcohol, and I would wake up and have the whole weekend, and I'm just full of energy, and now I'm like, I am not having that second drink or a drink, because it's just not working for me anymore, because I know what good feels like. And I'm not saying this should be applicable to everyone. I'm just giving an example of what worked for me. But it might be for you, it might be something with food, that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
High five.
Okay.
I resonate so much with this. I
Yeah.
quit alcohol 6 years ago during the pandemic, and that was the best decision of my life. And honestly, one of the easiest ones also. Because
Yeah.
before I thought that, oh my God, I would be, craving, I'm addicted, etc. But this feeling of waking up without a hangover,
How good is it? Like you actually have
so
the whole
good.
day.
I actually have the whole day. I had my weekends back. I had my energy back. I
Mhm.
didn't have to crawl out of bed looking for carbs in the morning anymore. Like it was just such a good feeling.
Big change.
So yeah, so to me, together with everything that was happening, it was like amazing. So yes, definitely having this different kind of definition, kind of next level of health, right? Just as in so many areas of life, be it the relationship, a job, you know, a working team, but also like just feeling in the body can tell you how much you have maybe missed out before.
Yeah,
Right?
that's such a good way to put it.
Yeah. So yeah, and speaking of how you were navigating your own symptoms, right? Starting with dropping the alcohol, like what other changes have you made in your life? And what was your journey to recognize that your body could feel better?
When I got my thyroid autoimmune condition diagnosis, I was in a very bad place with my gut. That's around the time that I decided I think I quit alcohol completely. Like nowadays, I would have like one cocktail every other month or so, but back then I would have no alcohol like at all for at least 6 to 9 months, completely gave it up. And I think that was one of the most impactful thing that I could do, because I was doing so much of that before, and all of a sudden my body was no longer getting all the thing that was really bad for me in that time. Like I want to say that it can be one thing that it can be really bad for you in one moment of your life, that it could impact you not at all in another moment of your life. So I would not be able to have a glass of wine back then without waking up feeling like I want to crawl on the floor. It was so bad because my thyroid autoimmune condition was extremely like at the worst moment. So that was very bad for me. Whereas now I can go and enjoy a glass of wine if I want to every now and again, and it would be nothing. So I want to say that. Same with foods. Like I gave up gluten for 2 years. I was gluten free, and it was good, but also it became really bad. So if you don't give up gluten and reintroduce it properly, you can be in a very difficult position. So it's good when you have an autoimmune condition, if you want to give up gluten like for 30, 60 days, but I went into an extreme because I was still learning a few years ago. I was still learning and testing, and I became my own guinea pig. Like, what is the best pet? What is the best thing? Like for 5 years, basically, I've been testing and testing and testing and trialing. And one of those things is like giving up gluten, but I was not aware that it's really hard when you give it up because your body is not used to it. It's kind of like breast milk. A lot of people have an allergy to it or like an intolerance when they're grown, but all of us are fed breast milk when we're babies, or most of us. It's the same with gluten. Like your body doesn't have the ability to digest it and tolerate it, but it's used to it because it's in everything that we eat. So if you take it out, you can give yourself an sensitivity. So if you put it back in, that's what landed me in a hospital for like a month.
Oh my God.
I had no idea that I was in India at a wedding, and I had something with gluten, and I also had COVID at the time, but I got hospitalized because that triggered like a lot of bad things. So it was a very hard lesson to learn, but it was a lesson learned. Giving up gluten, it's good for like a period of time if you have someone to guide you to reintroduce it, and it can be beneficial, but like a long-term thing, unless you're celiac, you don't need to do it. And celiac is an autoimmune condition where your body is allergic to gluten. Like you cannot possibly tolerate gluten. Other changes that I've done are mostly to my routine, like my sleep. It has become a huge priority for me over the past 5 years. I need to have my wind down routine at the end of the day, especially since I have my business for 2 years, where I want to read my Kindle or relax or do some breathing exercises and really prepare myself for that deep sleep. White light does not exist in my house. Overhead light does not exist. Like for me, soft yellow lamp light with light with yellow light bulbs that give like a very cozy orangey atmosphere, or red light, like nothing else. Because that's really impactful for your melatonin production. Your eyes are the first things to see. If it's night, trigger the melatonin production, which puts you to sleep. If it's day, keep the cortisol high so you're staying up. So that's one of the most impactful changes that I've done. I really take care of my sleep routine and sleep deeply. And because if you sleep well, you recover well. And obviously the nutrition aspect of it, apart from the gluten thing, adding more plants in my diet, adding more fiber, adding more fish, because fish and eggs are the building blocks of hormones, because eggs have good cholesterol, and good cholesterol creates pregnenolone, which is the precursor to all the sex and cycle hormones. So being able to kick off that hormonal cycle with the good nutrition is a key part if you're having menstrual issues. So those are some of the most impactful changes that I've done. Like, to sum up, there were a lot of other small things, but I think if someone would to take away something, this would be like the sleep, the nutrition, the taking care of yourself, the nervous system would be the main important things.
Amazing. We spoke a little bit before the start of the podcast that you even moved to Bali for a few months.
I did.
Because of this, to test it out.
I lived in London for 7 years, and I just had quit my job, both me and my partner, to start our businesses. And we thought, where could we go? And then I said, let's go to Bali. I want to be in nature. For me, nature is the most regulating thing ever. Just putting my feet in some grass and touching some trees, it really calms me down like nothing else can. So I just really wanted to be in the jungle for like 6 months, and ideally see no one, do no one, just be around like dogs and my partner. And that would make me like the happy. So we moved to Bali for 6 months, and it was a very beautiful time. I was getting a lot of, even when I was going, I remember I discovered sugaring in Bali. I was going to sugaring, I went to my appointment, and then the girl was like, she would look at me, we would talk, we became really good friends. Like, you're glowing. And I was like 1 month into Bali, and I'm like, I feel really good. And then everyone was giving me compliments like, you are glowing so much. You look so healthy. And to me, that was like the best compliment. Thank you so much. And it's just been like such a good thing for me to do, if possible. If you're healing, go someplace that can deepen that. It doesn't have to be Bali. It can be your backyard. Like, it can be the nature. It can be the forest, like 5 kilometers away. It can be running, like really leaning to what makes you feel good to support your healing journey, because nervous system regulation and being in tune with yourself and intuition only comes if you give yourself moments of peace and are doing things that light you up, as opposed to really trying super hard every single day. I think giving yourself those moments can really support you in your health journey a lot more than many other things can.
Amazing. Even right now, out of Bali, in Portugal, leading your own company, being this go-getter entrepreneur who is so deep into science and helping so many women around them rehabilitate their periods and their menstrual health, you are glowing.
No, thank you.
But whatever you're doing, it's working. It's been wonderful to learn from you and to speak with you about all of these little details and all of these little and big things that you did throughout your journey and through your discoveries. What are you still figuring out right now?
That's such a good question. I think I spoke a lot about nervous system, but I think I'm still figuring out how to spot burnout periods ahead of time. I want to learn how to see the signs before it becomes like a bad period, before I get out of my habits. I always feel like I could do a little bit better in this aspect, because as a business owner, you're always on the go. You don't want to miss the chance, because what if that leads to the next big thing? You're doing everything yourself. I sometimes have a team, I sometimes don't. I hire people on and off. So sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's very hard. And when it's very hard, my partner also has a business. So just being two entrepreneurs in a relationship, trying to also have fun and also like make money and keep our businesses alive and help people is very difficult. And I would love to work on this, being able to spot when I get out of my patterns that help keep me healthy and happy and centered and focused a bit earlier. So I'm figuring out how to do that now. I'm trying to become a bit more introspective. Like the first half of the year, my word was intentional, and I've done so much and I've built so much. And now I feel like I'm moving more towards the second half of the year. My word is going to be introspective. So I'm leaning more into that right now to learn that a bit better.
Love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Roxy, thank you so much for sharing all of this and being courageously vulnerable with us.
Thank you.
How can people find you?
I am Her Aligned Hub on every single platform. I have my website. You can contact me through there if you want to chat about your menstrual problems. I have my Instagram, which is Her Aligned Hub. And those are the two platforms that I'm most active. I also have my LinkedIn, but I'm not that active there. But basically everywhere is Her Aligned Hub, apart from LinkedIn, which is Rocsi Chereches. Yeah.
Wonderful. Roxy, I still have so many questions to you, and I would love to continue this conversation. You're so welcome for part 2 of this podcast. I know you're short on time. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you. And thank you so much for taking the time to come with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay! We did it!
So good.